I recently just finished watching the Punk Hazard arc of One Piece, and I want to share my thoughts on it, but before I do that, please make sure to go check out the last review I did on Fishman Island arc, just so you can catch up a little bit before Punk Hazard as to where I'm at. There's actually been quite a big gap between my review of Fishman Island and then this one of Punk Hazard. I don't know, I think it took me a little while to get through the arc, but we are here to talk about Punk Hazard. There is actually a little bit of filler that happens before we start this arc, but I'm not really going to go into it too much. It was like a nice little breather from the main story, but I'm just going to go straight into the Punk Hazard arc. All of a sudden, they get this distress call coming through, and Robin is just like, she's so smart, where she immediately is like, there's a 50-50 chance that this is going to be a Marine trying to trap us, because that's what they do. So it's like a distress call, and they'll try and get the pirates to help them, and then they'll just trap them and arrest them. She's so smart. But it turns out that it is this guy who is in a bit of a panic, and he's really scared because all of his crew and everyone around him have all been killed by some samurai, and that the samurai is after him, or the boss is after him. And then he reveals that he's on an island called Punk Hazard. That leads into them reaching this island that is in a complete blazing inferno. It is like surrounded by flames, and we find out that it was sectioned off by the Marines years ago because of an incident that occurred. It's actually hilarious because half of the crew are complete cowards. You've got Usopp, Nami, Chopper, even Brook, but then there's half of the crew that is always just wanting to go on the adventure and is just like kind of fearless, like Luffy, Robin, Zoro, even Sanji. They're just like, they want to set out and go on like a bit of adventure. Sanji is a bit more like, I could stay on the ship or I could go, but he just wants to find ingredients. That leads them to having to draw sticks to try and figure out by chance who is going to go on the island. So that leads into Luffy, Zoro, and Robin, and then none other than probably the biggest scaredy cat, Usopp, to go onto this island. This part was actually really cool though, when Nami uses her climb attacks to make this like massive cloud to go over the flames so that they can reach the island, and then they hop on the Mini Merry 2, and then they're kind of like on a little roller coaster ride going into just a complete hellhole. Everyone except for Usopp is sitting there eating out their lunch out of a bento that Sanji made them. Also, Sanji's food does look so good. I wish I could try his food so bad because it looks so good. But yeah, Luffy is just like devouring his lunch, and they're all having like a real good time, like looking over these blazing inferno. And then Usopp is sitting there like, I don't know how you guys can sit there and eat lunch. I feel sick having to go onto this island right now, this deathly island. And he has to say he's got this disease of going onto this island. And then they're exploring the island, and they run into this dragon, this like massive dragon. And it's so interesting because they look at this dragon, they're like, this is a mythical dragon and it should not exist. But it's like, you'd think by now, you know, I don't know, like how many islands they've gone to. They've been in the sky, like they've been literally in the sky. They've been underwater. They're still shocked to find a dragon. Like, I think you've seen some stuff that is pretty more unbelievable than seeing a dragon. But hey, it's the world of One Piece, and dragons shouldn't exist. They end up defeating that dragon, and there's actually this pair of legs that is attached to the dragon, and they manage to pull it off it. And then Luffy, of course, he sticks it onto his back, so he looks like is it centaur? That's what they call it? It's a minotaur? No, centaur, definitely centaur, I think. But yeah, one of those like four-legged mythical creatures. Again, mythical creature. Anyway, he sticks that onto his back and he's absolutely loving it, thinking that he's a centaur. But they kill the dragon, they defeat him, and they cook him on the barbecue, you know, have him as some food. Of course they do. Then they run into some more centaurs. Him and Luffy are just like getting along like a house on fire, and they become like the best of friends until the other guy finds out that Luffy is the one. He's a part of the Straw Hat crew, and he's actually the one that they're after. So now they end up chasing Luffy and the rest of them all the way across to the edge of the island. And then that's when they see the other half of the island, which is completely just mountainous snow. One half of the island you see, there's like volcanoes and it's a blistering heat. And then you see the other half and it's like mountainous, beautiful snow in the blistering cold. So it's like, what the heck is going on here? Later on, they explain that this is due to the fight between Akanu and Kuzan when they were battling to become the fleet admiral. And wow, like the fact that the two of them in a battle cause the whole landscape to change shows how strong that both of them are. When I found out that Akanu is now the fleet admiral and that he won, it's like, oh my god, I really just don't like Akanu. He is just, there's just an evilness in his eyes that I don't like. But I mean, I don't know too much about him. It's just from Marine Fit I got that vibe and saw what he did. So I liked Kuzan a lot better. So I really think that Kuzan would have been able to lead the Marines in a much better way than Akanu. But, we'll see. I'm yet to see much as to what he has done. Back at the ship, where there's Nami, Chopper, Frankie, Sanji, and Brooke, they're all just sipping on their drinks and trying their best to stay cool because of the heat that's coming from the island. When all of a sudden, these guys in hazmat suits jump onto the ship and they just spread some like weird gas all across the ship. Everyone just completely passes out, and these guys in hazmat suits takes everyone except for Brooke, which is hilarious because they think that he is just dead because he's a skeleton, of course. So Brooke is still back at the ship, and everyone else ends up in a jail cell in this random unknown location. They wake up in this cell, and then that's when they see pieces of a human head just sprawled around. I swear, you just never know what you're going to get in One Piece or what you're going to see. I swear, every single time something pops up, I'm surprised each time, and I don't know why. I should be desensitized to just like the wackiness of it, but I'm still surprised every single time something like that happens. But then these pieces of head starts talking. So he's like, can you please put my head back together? So then all of them are trying to piece his head back together. And it took them so many goes. I'm thinking Nami is a lot smarter than that. I reckon she could have figured that out a lot quicker. I don't know. I feel like maybe she's doing that on purpose. But yeah, they end up putting his head back together, and that's when, I don't think he actually said his name, but that's Kinemon from Wano. So, which is like I guess what the gist I got from it is just a city of samurais. It's funny because Sanji just takes it upon himself to like have complete responsibility over this samurai head, and he just takes that responsibility and runs with it the whole time. And they have like these moments where Kinemon is just like, why are you doing this? And he gets into like a massive pickle where that he can't get out of it, and Sanji is just like, no, I took you, you're my responsibility, I'm gonna help you now. It's like to the end. It's like, I wonder why he decided to do that. Is that just his stoic nature coming through where I don't know. It was a very telling part of him and his personality. But they end up making it out because of Frankie's beam, and they get out of the cell. They make their way over to this room that is set up like a kid's playroom. That's when they see these kids that are like, some are ginormous and some are tiny, or some are like normal human size, and they're just all playing around. And obviously they're shocked at seeing these random people. But there's such a cute, sweet moment that just like makes me love Frankie when he is just acting like a complete robot, and the kids are like, oh my god, it's a robot, yay, because they're kids. And then he starts just like playing with them and going all like super, and just being Frankie, and they absolutely love it. And now they're all playing with Frankie. Sanji is just not happy. I think they're calling him curly eyebrows, and Nami is also like, we kind of need to get out of here. That's when the hazmat suit guys come into this room, and they see them, and then now everyone is like, okay, crap, we have to get out of this room. These guys are after us. As they're running towards the door, there's actually another moment which is very telling and revealing of Nami's personality, where they're all just trying to get away and they have a mission that they need to complete. But these kids are screaming out that they just want to go home, and they're asking and shouting for them to please just save them from this place. Because we find out that apparently the master has come through, and they were taking these children away from their homes because they were apparently really sick, and now they're in this place healing them and making them better. But these kids, you know, they just want to go home. So like, please, can you help us? We just want to go home. And then after a while, you know, Nami is running. She's like, we can't do this. We can't do this. We have a mission. She turns around and she's like, all right, we are going to save you. I can't leave you kids like this. I need to say, and that, I feel like that is such a revealing aspect of her personality as like a very caring, but just really good natured, even though she has her quirks of being maybe sometimes self-centered, but this kind of showed the other side of her character that is shining through, and a bit more of a different side of Nami and how much she really does care. She shows glimpses of it in, you know, the past arcs, but this moment in particular was just such a revealing side of her. And I think from Punk Has It onwards, she's beginning to become one of my favorite Straw Hats. We also see the G5 Marines enter the scene, and this is led by none other than Smoker and Toshigu, who is now the captain. It's such an interesting duo, these two, because Smoker is just the biggest badass and hard ass, whereas Toshigu is so soft and light and just, yeah, less rough around the edges than Smoker. So it's an interesting combo that they have. But yeah, they enter the scene and they make it to, I forgot what it was called, but it's the entrance to whatever building that they're all in. All of a sudden, Law makes an appearance. So he is now back in the story, and we find out that he is now a warlord, which is wild. I really like Law. I think his character is, he is a great character. I love his little jabs that he does, and he's a bit more blunt with what he says. His character is actually a lot like Robin, is what I found throughout. He makes those little remarks that are very like negative, but he says it in a really cool way. And the way that he became a warlord, where he took the hearts of like 100 pirates. What? I just didn't think that he would be capable of doing. I don't know what the actual story is behind it. It might have been falsified in some way. But at the time, I was like, Jesus, what happened to Law? He just has changed as a character. Law ends up taking out the heart of Smoker. He just like takes it out, puts it in a little box. It's just beating like that. It's a bit weird. I don't know, just holding a human heart in your hand and it's just beating. It would be a bit weird. The Smoker passes out, and then Toshigi comes in and tries to make her attack, which is like, come on, Toshigi, you're not going to win against Law. But she tries anyway. She's got spirit, that one. She's got a lot of fighting spirit. Even if she can't take down the enemies, she will still try her hardest. But yeah, she tried, and then obviously couldn't take down Law. So Law ends up swapping their hearts. So now Toshigi is Smoker and Smoker is Toshigi. Absolutely gold. It was comedic gold when Smoker wakes up in Toshigi's body, and then he's full unbuttoned his top, very compromising positions that she puts her in. Toshigi is now in Smoker's body, which looks absolutely ridiculous. And she's just looking at Smoker in her body, being like, can you cover yourself up? Like, please, Smoker, can you please cover yourself up? I mean, cover me. Yeah. And I think that's why the relationship is so hilarious, because of Smoker being such a hard ass and her being so soft. The fact that they swapped bodies was just pure comedic gold. At the facility, like when Law and Smoker are chatting, Sanji, Nami, Frankie and Chopper, they end up like bursting through the whole facility with these kids, and that's when they end up bumping into Law. Law switches everyone's hearts around, so now everyone is switched up and not in their real bodies. So now we have, of course, Nami is in Sanji's body and Sanji is in Nami's body, and then Chopper is in Frankie's body and Frankie is in Chopper's body. What a hilarious combo, because Sanji is like, oh my god, I'm living my dream. This is what I've wanted my whole life, is to just be inside a woman's body. Nami is just absolutely beside herself, because she's like, my god, this woman crazed man who will, I don't know what he will do to my body. I will say that this was probably my favorite aspect of the whole arc, the fact that they switched bodies. It just provided so much humor and comedic relief all throughout the arc. It was also interesting seeing them switch bodies like that. Like the moments when Sanji is running and he's just like, oh my god, this is my dream. And then when Chopper is talking and it's Frankie's voice. Robin is just like, don't you dare speak whilst you're in that body, because he just sounds like aggressive and angry and not like Chopper's soft, cute nature. And so she's just like, don't you dare speak. And every single time he speaks, she's like, stop talking. So it just provided so much entertainment for me throughout the whole arc. It would just have to be my favorite aspect of it. Around this time, Caesar is also introduced, and I find him to be such a goofy villain. He's menacing at some points because he's just like looks absolutely bat insane, and so he looks a bit crazy. Well, not a bit, a lot. His laugh just absolutely cracks me up when he's just like, I want to start laughing like that because it's just so great. And his voice actor is also such an amazing voice actor. He was the voice of Frieza and then Mayuri from Bleach. I'm pretty sure there's been more. He's got such a unique voice, but he plays this character so well. It just matches him to a T. But also Caesar is massive. He's a big guy. So I feel like I was expecting him to be smaller. He has this kind of like the sidekick called Monet, and she's kind of freaky. She freaks me out. She's got green hair and she's half of her body is a bird and she's got massive wings. Later on we find out that she's also she's a bit of a double agent where she's actually working for someone called Joker, who is Doflamingo. So they're like starting to introduce the next, like these villains in the next arc so early on in this arc. But yeah, this Joker is like all powerful, menacing, and it's Doflamingo, but she actually works for him. And so they both actually work for him. It's also revealed later that Caesar is helping the Joker, Doflamingo, make these synthetic devil fruits, which it's a big game changer in the world of One Piece. It's like you've got the natural devil fruits and the synthetic ones, but what are the side effects of the synthetic ones? Have they actually been able to master that? And they want to make a huge army of devil fruit users. We also find out a bit of, I guess, Caesar's origin and why he's on this island. And it turns out a few years ago, this used to be Vegapunk's research facility, but there was this massive gas explosion that was it ruined the landscape. It killed all the animals. It once used to be a very lush and foresty area, very green, but this poisonous gas explosion killed everything. This was blamed on Vegapunk and his experiments. This whole time it was actually Caesar. He's the one that completely obliterated the whole island. So you get a bit of an insight into his ways and his evil, villainous ways, that he was not willing to take on the responsibility of what he had done and blamed it all on Vegapunk. And this is when I feel like Punk Hazard took a bit of a dark turn. I feel like it was quite lighthearted and, it was just the usual pacing of One Piece. I guess actually in every single arc, there's always some underlying dark tone. They get to this research facility, another one that has been broken down. When they were there, Brook mentioned to Sanji that he saw the torso of Kinnaman. And this whole time, Kinnaman, he's just wanting to find his body because he's looking for his son who went missing years and years ago. So he thinks that he's a part of this whole weird thing going on with these kids. Sanji, with his sense of responsibility, he's like, we need to go find this torso. So him and Brook and Kinnaman have now gone off on their own to find his torso. But while the rest of them are all there and the kids are all there, Chopper is taking these tests to try and figure out why these kids were so sick and what was actually wrong with them this whole time. And then that's when the kids start just getting really, really aggressive and going crazy, like they're going mental. And we find out that these kids are literally going through withdrawal. Caesar has been drugging these kids this whole time, and that's why they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because he's making these experiments on them to make them like big people so that they can go and join battles and like they're going to be weapons essentially. So these kids are now going through drug withdrawals, which what the heck? Like I at that point was like, oh my god, this is real heavy. Like this is some heavy stuff going on here. The master has been giving them candy every night as a way to experiment on them. That twist was such a dark undertone that I was like, oh my God, Caesar, you deserve everything that you're getting. After this, there's like a mini arc within an arc with the Yeti Cool Brothers, who are these massive Yetis who act like they're just like the best in the world. And they've been hired as Caesar as assassins. So they're after the Straw Hats and they've been ordered to kill them. I don't know. It kind of felt like, why? Why are they here? They ended up just getting defeated. I mean, they were pretty strong and they were able to take down, well, I guess it was Sanji in Nami's body. I don't know. It just felt kind of like, why were they there? Because they ended up being defeated in the end and they didn't really have much of an impact on the story in the long run. Nothing really was said about them, or like their backstory wasn't really delved into too much. And so that was a bit of a like kind of part for me personally. So if we skip past that little bit, it does lead us to where Law and Luffy meet up again. They did so earlier, and then Luffy was like, oh my God, it's Law, thank you so much for saving my life a couple of years ago. But this is where they meet up again, and we find out why Law is there, and he's got this grand plan to take down one of the emperors. So that is the start of their contract, where they're going to go on and work together and take down an emperor. And later on it's revealed that it is Kaido in Wano, which is crazy. That's like a few arcs away. That's hundreds of episodes away, and it's already planting the seed of what is going to happen. They make it back to that broken down facility, and it's just this hilarious part because Chopper is like, I want to find a way to cure these kids from this random drug that Caesar has been giving them. Well, they tie Chopper to Law's head, and so he's just sitting on Law's head about to go with him to the facility. That was so funny. And that's, I think, why I really like Law, is because they take the piss out of him sometimes, because he's very serious and he can be quite intense and just wants to get the job done kind of thing. But they take the piss out of him because they're like, oh Law, and he kind of just lets it happen. So I love that little those interactions that they have and the banter that they all just bounce off each other. So I'm really glad that Law has come into it in that way and is now going to be there for quite a while, I think. So everyone ends up making their way to the entrance of the main research facility where Caesar is, because Luffy is now after Caesar. And that's when we get introduced to Mr. Slimy, which is Caesar's pet. And it's like a culmination of all of the poisonous gas that he collected 4 years ago when he created that massive explosion and all the gas was surrounding the island. He didn't dispose of it. He ended up just bringing it all together and making Mr. Slimy, which is this full blob of just toxic gas. And it's like acid. It will just burn through anything. Luffy is trying to capture Caesar, but Caesar's too strong at this point. He's all poisonous gas. And actually, the poison doesn't affect Luffy anymore because of what happened in Impel Down. And when he was faced up against Magellan, he was able to fight off that poison, so it didn't affect him anymore. Caesar ends up making him faint in some way. This is because Caesar has the ability to he can control gas, right? So he has the ability to just wipe out oxygen from around a certain vicinity. Caesar then locks all of them up in a cage hanging above, outside of the facility, and that's when he gives the Mr. Slimy this massive bit of candy that is obviously going to transform him into some kind of other monstrosity. And that's when it's slowly revealed what he is planning to do, and that's all of the most important figures are watching this on a TV screen, and he's wanting to show the world just how strong his new weapon is. Mr. Slimy's gas is going to basically wipe out the whole island, and he is broadcasting this for everyone to see. So they're all in the cage, and I swear every moment when it's just Tashigi in Smoker's body is just hilarious. She's sitting there in the most compromising position. Tashigi is looking at it being like, Smoker, can you close can you cover up a little bit? And then Smoker's like, no, absolutely not. Once they're freed from the cage, they make it inside of the main facility. They're trying to get away from this Mr. Slimy because he's now taking over basically the whole island. And in the meantime, Sanji, and I forgot Zoro was with them too. It was Sanji, Zoro, and Brook with Kinnaman, and they ended up getting Kinnaman, his whole body, back together. Eventually, they run into Nami and Usopp, who are also running from the slime because the kids ended up getting picked up by Caesar's like massive gas balloon and brought back to the facility. So they're all in a panic, running from the slime, trying not to die. They've got the facility doors open and they have to close them now because the slime is going to get in. But they also have Brownbeard that's there, and they've hopped on Brownbeard because he's big and he's like a crocodile, and they're now riding Brownbeard all the way to the facility. And there's like this moment of like, oh my god, are they going to make it? Of course they're going to make it, but they just miss it. Zoro ends up just blasting like a hole in the door. So they manage to get in. All of the Marines start like full bolting up the door. None of the Straw Hats do anything about it. They just let the Marines do it. Tashigi's main goal is to get the Marines safely to Building R, because that's where they get out of the building and where it's like the safest place to be. So her main goal is to get them out. Smoker is after one of the Marines who was made out, I think it was a captain, but he was made out to be like this really nice and very like caring guy, but it turns out he was actually working for Joker the whole time and he was a bad guy. So Smoker's like, I need to go and defeat this guy. They're going into their different directions, and then Luffy is going off trying to capture Caesar. The rest of the Straw Hats were just trying to get away. Like they were just trying to escape to, I think, Building R as well and save the kids. Actually, they were trying to save the kids. So it's just like all descends into chaos like it always does in every single arc. Chopper ended up reaching the kids and he was able to save them in the end, which was like, that was such a gut-wrenching part of this whole arc. The fact that these kids have been drugged, they've got no idea what is happening to them. The main little girl, she's taken out of her stupor because Chopper has found the cure and has cured her, and now she's like, I'm going to be the one to help all of the rest of the kids. Like, we need to get out of here all alive. And so she runs off and is able to protect the kids, but she gets all of the candies because all these kids are running after the candies, and manages to like stuff it all in her mouth and eat them all. So now she's going to overdose. This is like really hectic stuff that's going on with these kids. Then she overdoses, so Chopper is now trying to help her, and that's with they're with the Marines as well. So they're all trying to help this kid, and they manage to like rescue all of the other kids. Tashigi and Zoro also have like this, I don't know, I feel like it's a nice moment. It just is like a friendly rivalry, but Tashigi is like always, I don't know, Tashigi is never gonna really stand up to Zoro's level. Zoro is like on a whole different level, but she's just going to keep trying to get to his level. And so they're in a battle against Monet. Zoro's like, I tell everyone else to go and I will face Monet. I'll take her down. But Tashigi is like, no, this is my battle to fight against. Of course, Monet is a devil fruit user. She like uses ice and snow. So she is a devil fruit user. There's no way that Tashigi is going to be able to defeat her. But she tries, like she gives it her absolute all, and she's a lot stronger than she was when she was first introduced. She's a lot more smarter and wittier, and she's able to like depict the battle. I mean, she made it to be a captain against a devil fruit user. She kind of just didn't stand a chance. And so Zoro then stepped in and took down Monet in like one sweep. Like it did not take him much effort at all. He picks up Tashigi and then like has her on his back. He's such a gentleman because he stepped back because Tashigi was like, no, this is my fight. And so Zoro was like, all right, I'll just sit here and wait until you need me. And then it ended up that she needed him. I really wish that she was able to take Monet down. It felt like at each point she was very brave, and she was about to sacrifice herself a few times, but she never really got to a point of being able to defeat any enemies or to show like her true strength and true potential, because I can tell that she is strong. The fact that she didn't defeat Monet in that moment, it was like really unsatisfying. I really wanted to see her beat Monet, but Zoro had to step in, and then she couldn't have that satisfying moment. So that was, I feel like I kind of was a letdown. I really wish she was able to do that. This whole time, I think it was like Brook, Kinnaman, and Nami, Usopp, because they've all been switched back now. Their bodies have been switched back. And so it was like them, and I don't know what Frankie was. They're just all over the shop, like all the time. I struggle to remember where each straw hat is because they're all over the place. But they're all riding on Brownbeard. This poor guy, he's wanting to save all his crewmates, and that's why at the start he was after them, but now he's on their side because he's like, I see how much of an evil person the master is and how much they don't care about us. And so he's now trooping through trying to help them. They're like racing against the clock to try and also get to Building R to save themselves. Kinnaman and Brooke end up fighting off another dragon. So there's like this dragon that has been following them this whole time. It's also just really random. Whilst this is all happening, Luffy falls down the rubbish chute and he runs into a dragon. This dragon then says that his name is Monosuke, and this is like, oh, it's Kinnaman's son. So we find out that like Kinnaman's son was turned into this dragon because he ate a synthetic devil fruit power when he wasn't supposed to. At this point, I really thought that Kinnaman and Brooke had taken down Kinnaman's son. So I was like, oh no, this is not going, surely it's not going to turn into that. I do not know what turn One Piece takes sometimes. So I really thought that they were going to make it so that Kinnaman actually ended up like killing his own son. But luckily it wasn't that. And so Luffy bumps into him and he gets into such a stir because he's so hungry. Not Luffy, he's hungry too, but Monosuke is so hungry that he gets all panicky and then ends up using clouds and flying up in the air and getting them like halfway out of the chute. And then Luffy gets them all the way out. I felt like the battle between Caesar and Luffy was just like, it wasn't as good as some of the other fights that Luffy has had with like the other villains. It wasn't as epic as I feel like it has been in the past. I don't know. I know that previously Caesar was able to take Luffy down and knock him out, and so that showed how powerful and strong he was, and it was cool being able to see him use like that gas as like a weapon, and Luffy, every move that he made was just going into nothing because Caesar is made of gas. And also seeing Luffy have to strategize as to how he was going to get a hit on Caesar because Caesar kept taking away his oxygen, so he had to like make these moves from quite far away. The fight itself was kind of lackluster, and maybe it's because I felt like Caesar is quite a weak villain. If you compare him to someone like Enel is so strong and powerful, and he's like got this all-encompassing, oh my god, how is Luffy, how is the Straw Hat Crew, how are they all going to take down this enemy, because he is so strong. But Caesar was like, I felt like Luffy could defeat him pretty easily if he figured out his weaknesses. He'd be able to overtake him like fairly easily, and I felt like he did in that battle. In the end, he just full blasted him out of the facility and completely knocked him unconscious. I actually liked the fight between Law, Virgo and Smoker better. Smoker just fought with so much passion because of Virgo's betrayal, but he wasn't strong enough to win against him. And then when Law stepped in again and used his power to slice like not only Virgo but the whole island in half, it was such an insane showcase of his strength, but it literally took both of them to take down Virgo. So without both Law and Smoker, I don't think they would have won. They do all make it to Building R. They were waiting for Chopper and, the kids and the Marines, because Chopper was looking after that girl. Earlier on, Frankie actually, when he was broken out of that cage, he went back to the Sunny to look after it. And so that's while he was there and everyone was trying to get out of the facility, he encountered some of Doflamingo's family. So it was Baby 5, and I forgot what the other one was called. Baby 5 is like a bit of sort of like quirky character where whenever someone said that they needed her, she was just like besotted with them. That was an interesting quirk, but she turned into a weapon. So then they had an altercation because they were quite strong, but he was able to overpower them in the end. So Doflamingo makes the decision to fly over to, or like skywalk over to Punk Hazard. I actually was really hyped during those moments when Doflamingo was like skywalking over the ocean, making his way to Punk Hazard, because he looks so terrifying. Like he looks just so evil, and it made me excited to watch Dressrosa. There's also this really, what I found very satisfying scene where Caesar wakes up from being knocked out by Luffy. He reveals that he still has Smoker's heart, and he's like, if I have to die, then I need to take someone down with me. So he thinks that squeezing this heart, he's going to take down Smoker as well. He squeezes the heart, but Smoker is still okay. And it turns out that Monet, so this whole time she was on the phone to Doflamingo, And that's when he found out that she was like working for him. She's in the room where there's like this massive self-destruct button that will blow up the whole facility if she presses it. So she's just about to press this button, and then that's when Caesar squeezes her heart, so she dies instantly. I didn't really like Monet, so this was kind of satisfying. So everyone then gets out safely, and the Straw Hats go on their way on the Sunny, and Toshigi ends up putting all of the kids on this other ship and guides them off. But Smoker remains there, and then like Doflamingo is on his way. And then when he reaches the island, he is like, where are the Straw Hats? He's getting all mad, and he ends up taking down Smoker. But then Kuzan enters the scene. It's like, oh my gosh. And that's when Kuzan restrains everything and like makes sure Doflamingo doesn't kill Smoker. So then that's when we find out like where Kuzan has been and what he's kind of slowly like what he has been up to. So yeah, that was a build up of Doflamingo. It's like, wow, Doflamingo is pretty strong, and it's going to be interesting to see him in Dressrosa and the battle between him and Luffy, because I think that that's going to top a lot of battles that we've seen so far, that I've seen so far. Because they've now captured Caesar, Law does get in contact with Doflamingo and is basically like, you have to step down from being a warlord, or would you rather I destroy Caesar and Smile is no longer a thing? Like, how do you think Kaido is going to react to that? Because it's becoming apparent that Kaido is like the big boss here. The arc kind of ends with newspapers going out that's revealing that Doflamingo has now abdicated from being a warlord. So everything is now kind of like the plan is setting into motion. For me, my favorite parts of that arc had to be when everyone swapped their minds. Seeing Sanji in Nami's body was absolutely hilarious, and then Frankie and Chopper, and then Toshigi and Smoker, it was such a laugh. It was so entertaining. I have to say that was my favorite part of it. I loved Caesar's laughing. I think that was hilarious all the way through. But also the dark undertones of the kids and the experiments that they were running on them, and the fact that they were going through withdrawals was like really heart-wrenching. Those are all my thoughts on the arc. I am super keen to start Dressrosa, although this is going to be, it's a big, like, there's a lot of episodes in Dressrosa, and so it's going to take me a while to get through. I might have to do it in like parts 1 and 2. Like halfway through, I might share my thoughts on the first half and then do the second half, because it's a big arc to cover. But yeah, anyway, please let me know your thoughts on Punk Hazard. What are some things that you liked or disliked? If you agreed or disagreed with anything that I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Otherwise, I hope that you all have a great day or night, whatever it is over there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.